drawers, welcome back. Okay, here's what I've done. So thank you to Maddie and Alyssa last week for being on top of things and uploading your 2 visual art entries to our Flipgrid. I'm keeping track of this. If you missed that, which quite a few of us did, hopefully you're still working on your entries. Hopefully you're still drawing, and go back and add those on. To try and make sure that it's as clear as I can be, what I've done is I've created this little presentation that has all the information about the visual art journals that we started last week and that we will continue to do through the end of our quarantine or whenever that is. And so I'm going to have this presentation link, so you can just click here. You can see any weeks that you might have missed. And you can also have like a quick access to that Flipgrid. All of this stuff is already on Schoology. So if you've been paying attention to those updates every day, then you should be good to go. If you're sitting there going, I've been kind of not paying attention, or haven't been on top of things, or maybe you just don't understand something but you haven't reached out to me, then please watch this video, okay? And open up this presentation, which is also linked with it. So here, visual art journal. Just to be clear, you will have 2 entries each week that you will turn them in via this Flipgrid every week by Friday at 2:30. Okay, I'm setting that due date, and I realize it's lead, so we have some wiggle room. But if you're not keeping up with that, then next thing you know, you're going to have a bunch of entries to do, and you're just going to rush through them, which kind of defeats the points. The point of this is to get you thinking about art and to get you just spending a little bit of time every week drawing. We now don't have like our big projects anymore. I know that there's a few of you working on your portraits still, which is great. You still have another week on those, but for the rest of us, you don't have that big project anymore. And so these little journal entries will combine to be your big project that you would be doing for this quarter. Okay, so here it is. You open up the presentation, it just links you to that Flipgrid, which, let me open that up for you. Here it is. So you can see what's on there so far. I'm doing all of the entries with you. My toddler just has tried to color on like 20 of them, but I'm doing it with you just to give you some examples and because I think it's important to continue to draw and be creative. So here it is. You would just click on that Flipgrid, log in, which is your school ID. You have to use your school email, which you want to anyways. And then here are the responses we have so far. So I have my first entry, which was my Van Gogh, my second entry. So these are from the Steal Like an Artist last week, where you just picked a artist that you like and you recreated it. And then Alyssa and Maddie both have theirs. And they just made one video with both of their entries for the week and uploaded it pretty quick. And so I love that. And they've got credit. They're good to go. So I'm going to go back to that presentation, which I can pull it up without this thing pulling down. There we go. So there's a video that I have posted just studying the visual art journals so that you can refer back to that. I've already talked about this, but supplies, I realize supplies is an issue because you can't necessarily borrow anything from me. So use whatever you have available. I have quite a few things because I'm an art teacher, so I'm going to use what I have. But you can use notebook paper, you can use paper from just a printer. If you have your sketchbook or any supplies, then use that. You can use paints, markers, pens, highlighters, whatever you have, use. Even if you only have pencil and paper the entire time, like pencil and notebook paper, that doesn't mean you can't still draw really cool stuff. So use what you have. The theme. So like I said, you will have a new theme each week. I think if I just said, hey, make 2 entries each week, a lot of us would be overwhelmed because what do you draw? Like, you just kind of sit there and stare at paper. So what I've done is I've picked out themes that are based on different topics we still need to cover in the class. And you just need to do 2 entries that go with those themes. Your entries do not have to look like mine by any means. You can do your own interpretation, but I will give you examples as I go so that you can get some ideas of what that theme might be. Then, like I said, to turn it in every week, I am checking that flip grid. So here it is, and I just pulled it up. And I'm just making it one main flip grid. And you just post that. And that's how you get credit, and I am keeping track of this. How much time? So we're not in class right now, and so the expectation is you're spending about an hour. Usually you would have something in class for an hour, and then you would also have like homework on top of that. But I just want you to spend about an hour with this, each entry, give or take. Maybe one takes longer, maybe one takes less time. But you need to be spending some time with it. You should not be doing these entries in 10 minutes, okay? So here's some examples. I haven't really shown anything like this before. Visual art journals are extremely common in every high school and college class that you might take for art. I have a lot of them. And so these are just some pictures of different visual art journals, just some cool ones that I saw. So usually more advanced, but doesn't mean yours can't be cool too. Where it's just sketches and like little images that they're using to be able to create it, and little notes and tape and different kinds of media and all of that. Very cool. Writing and there's a dollar and like collage work. Probably looks more similar to what mine was. This one has a very obvious theme where they're using like that color throughout, that highlighter. If you only have like a few things, if you only have like 2 highlighters and some Sharpie and a pencil, you could still do something really cool like this. Okay, so now on this presentation, I'm just gonna keep loading different topics so that you can go through and see what you're doing each week. Our first week wasn't technically visual art journal, but it was that same idea. It was building up to that. And that was just drawing your workspace and tools. So I just made that like kind of our unofficial week 1. You should have entered that into Summit, okay? And so that was one of your checkpoints. But now we're gonna use Flipgrid from now on, just because I didn't realize we had Flipgrid before that. And now it just seems like a much easier way so that I can actually see you talking about your art. Here's what I did for mine that week, just as a reminder. So here's my workspace, my drawing based on my workspace. And then my tools that I used. So this one was like a little quicker sketch, which is kind of plain. Okay, so then this is last week. This is the official week 1, and that was Steal Like an Artist. So you're looking at like a real piece of art you find online. So here's famous, The Great Wave. Piece of art, and then someone has recreated it on their own, so that you can kind of sketch it out in your sketchbook. Here's some more examples. Maybe. You hear me clicking, right? I should stop clicking. Yeah, I just went through a bunch of them. Whoops-a-daisy. Getting a little too fast. Okay, so then here's a different example. Like Rene Magritte is a famous artist. This was his famous one. And so if you wanted to do a thing like where you just kind of learn about the artist and draw, that would work too for last week. Here's the second one that I did. I found this image and from Franz Rosewil. And here's my actual sketch that I spent an hour on, just working on from the beginning to the end. And I just kind of worked on it off and on throughout the week whenever I had time, whenever my toddler let me work. And then this is just a link to the video that I did for my other one. So I did Van Gogh in honor of his birthday last week. There he is, and then there's like my rough little visual art entry sketch. Okay, so that's last week. So now let's talk about this week. So for this week, your theme is patterns. And you can do whatever you want with that. So here's like an actual illustrator made their own really cool pattern. That's awesome. You can look at a pattern that already exists and try and draw it, or like create your own patterns, or just play with lots of different patterns and designs like you see on this one. Here's another one with just like cool patterns. They obviously have just like markers, which is fine if you have anything like that. These are just examples I found online that are kind of fun. I will include later on in the week how to make a tessellation. And so that's one option if you're really stuck on creating a pattern. I actually already created a tessellation based on MC Escher, which is our artist of the week. And so here's like my rough sketch. Here's my actual pattern. And then here's me recreating it for my tessellation. So I will share how I did that if you want to do that as one of your entries. It's an option. Here's another pattern. You can just find like some cool things. I just really like that pattern. I just kind of want to create it. And that repetition with the pattern like you see here. The other one that I'm doing for my other entry, which I'll post pictures when I finish, is I love this like modern artist. And you can see like one of hers right here on the screen, but it's got these crazy little designs. And so I'm just using colored pencils and like a little pen to try and recreate it. I haven't gotten super far yet. I've only spent maybe like 20 minutes on it, but I'm gonna spend another 40 minutes on it and see how much of this I can get and kind of have fun with it. I am having fun with it. So that's my last one for the pattern. Please be working on these. Please email me if you have any questions or concerns, but I don't want these to back up for you where you have a lot of them to do. So let me know if you need anything. Let me know if you have any extra obstacles that maybe I'm not aware of. Otherwise, I can't wait to see the entries that you have by Friday. And throughout this week, I'm just gonna kind of show you as I finish up these ones. But you know what you're supposed to do. So have a great day.